Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be taking a look at an article from Yahoo. It was published on April 5th. It's from the AFP. Trudeau sees high chance of NAFTA deal with US-Mexico. Trudeau is scared shitless and he's trying to save face right now. Make it look like he's going to, get something good out of this. Alright, he's a beta male cuck who's going up against Trump, okay, and a delusional Mexican presidente. So yeah, they're both at a disadvantage, and they're trying to act like they're going to come out on top. It's pretty funny. Actually, it's really funny. Ottawa, AFP. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau signaled Thursday that he saw a strong chance of reaching a deal with the U.S. and Mexico to revamp the North American Free Trade Agreement. Personally, I think we should be out of it, and that, let things fall as they may, because the United States, odds are, is going to come out on top if that were to happen. And the funny thing is the only deals that are going to happen, or I should say the only deal that is going to happen, is one that benefits the United States and stops us from getting porked like we are. Because Clinton screwed us over with NAFTA, all right? H. Ross Perot talked about NAFTA. He said all the things that it would do. He said the same thing, with China and Clinton and favorable nation status and all the crap that he did with China. Everything H. Ross Perot said about NAFTA came to fruition. Everything that he said about China and what Clinton was doing came to fruition. But no one listened to him. And now Trump is trying to straighten this out, and these idiots who are at a disadvantage, who were screwing the United States and getting away with it, even though they were at a disadvantage, now think that they're going to come out on top still, or at least trying to appear like they're going to, would be more accurately. We have a high chance of reaching a win-win-win deal for Canada, the United States, and Mexico, Trudeau told reporters. Oh my God. The only wins this idiot knows of are because of his looks and scoring with good-looking women as a result. That's the only wins he's had in his life. Besides being a prime minister, besides the fact of being the prime minister. Okay, that was just sheer freaking luck. Plain and simple. Pretty boy with no experience, legacy, substitute drama teacher and ski instructor somehow becomes the Prime Minister of Canada. And they act like he's like this great, scholarly leader. And it's like, you go, oh my God. This guy is the head of one of our allies. And you just want to go and face plant, face palm yourself. That we actually have this idiot as the head of a nation that we're allied with. I mean, this Justin Trudeau makes Dan Quayle look like an articulate and intelligent individual. He really does. And he thinks he's going to come out on top. With the pressures of the elections in Mexico and U.S. elections, if we could announce something at the Summit of the Americas, that would be great, he added, in reference to the April 13-14 gathering of regional leaders in Peru. Basically, Trudeau is like hoping that he can play Trump, going, well, you got pressure from your elections. Bow down to my beta male cuckness by announcing this. It's not going to work for you there, Justin. It won't. But go ahead and feel free to try it. I mean, every time you've gone up against Trump, you've been cucked. The same with El Presidente in Mexico. You've both been cucked. Left, right, and center. But keep thinking how you are. Because your abysmal failure and disappointment is an enjoyable thing to watch. Foreign Minister Chrystia Freeland headed to Washington to meet with her counterpart, U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer, who on Wednesday met with Mexican Economy Minister Adelfonso Guardado to reach an agreement in principle on NAFTA. Yeah. What you guys want and what's going to be reality, though, Canada and Mexico are going to be two different things. The trio are to get together for a working dinner. The trio are to get together for a working dinner Thursday evening, according to public broadcaster CBC, and hold talks on Friday. Oh, that breaking news from the Canadian Broadcast Corporation. They're going to have a working dinner. Yeah, okay. Freeland said negotiators in 7 rounds of talks since last August had made some good progress in overhauling the 24-year-old trade pact. You either mean that we still got the shit we want and the U.S. is getting fucked, or you're trying to spin the fact that Canada's getting fucked. And I hate to break it to you, but it's going to be the latter. The latter. Not the first one. Several stumbling blocks remain to be resolved, particularly Washington's proposal on rules of origin for auto manufacturing, a sunset clause for the agreement, and dispute resolution mechanism. Oh yeah, because heaven forbid, okay, we actually mandate that, shit being produced within our 3 countries actually be, produced in our 3 countries and not just assembled, and that, we have clauses so, there's, recourse. And heaven forbid that we actually have a means to, have dispute resolution, to deal with that. Oh, God. But the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump is increasing pressure to quickly reach a new trade deal at a time when uncertainties about cross-border commerce are weighing on Wall Street, and ahead of July's presidential elections in Mexico and November's midterms U.S. congressional elections. The White House must also contend with market jitters over Trump's new import tariffs on metals and Chinese-made goods, and Beijing's response, which has roiled the stock market. I love how they're trying to slant this shit, because here is AFP and Yahoo trying to push this thing of the people that are in the weak positions, the weak bargaining positions. Canada, Mexico, and China. They're trying to portray them as, threats to the well-being of the United States when we could decimate them. Okay? Because you know what? We have, in the United States, a lot of manufacturing infrastructure that's just sitting there. That with some, upkeep, maintenance, and repair type stuff could be back to producing goods. And we do it better. All right? We do it faster. And if companies want to get into the trade war and look at the fact of, well, if we shave a little off of our profit margin, they can be competitive. See, the whole thing is this isn't about what's best for the countries. This isn't about what's best, for the people of the countries. This is about what's best for businesses to fuck over people and maximize their profits. That's what it comes down to. It's on the note of what's best for a country. Okay, on the note of, say, Mexico and China. I'll rephrase that a little bit. Because you have corruption within the government, it does benefit the government on the note of those people that are within the government benefit from these shitty one-sided deals. Well, we all get fucked. Under the current agreement, 62.5% of the content of a vehicle must be produced within the NAFTA countries to move duty-free across the borders. It should be 100%. What's this 62.5% shit? 100% of a vehicle should be produced in the United States or Canada or Mexico in order for it to be duty-free. Period. End of story. Not this 62.5% shit. Washington wants to bump the requirement up to 85%. Still isn't good enough for me, but I'd take it, with 50% of U.S. origin. Damn right. A proposal that Ottawa and Mexico City have rejected. Well, of course they have rejected it. Because Canada and Mexico, okay? When it's the American automakers, U.S. automakers that are producing there, they don't want them, using, say, 50% of the goods being from American origin? Oh, hell no. When it's American companies that are employing those people. To me, that's kind of like messed up. Because to me, American companies should be at least 50% of U.S. origin. Minimum. So I say produce it all in the United States. Let them maybe assemble, a shitty vehicle in Mexico. A shitty vehicle in Canada. The throwaway car. And have it all made in USA. That would be fine by me. Because you know what? Then Canada and Mexico would be fucked. And we don't want to look at that fact. That we're holding all the cards. They ain't holding shit. And, AFP and Yahoo were trying to make it sound like they're holding all the cards and the US is fucked. It's pathetic. U.S. officials have not confirmed a Canadian media report that U.S. negotiators have dropped this demand. Well, they better not have dropped that demand. That's more than fair. Freeland said in March that she and Leitzinger had made some progress on the rules of origin for autos, which she described as both the heart of and the most fiendishly complex aspect of the agreement. Well, the only reason why it's fiendishly complex is to fuck the U.S., because NAFTA was set up to fuck the U.S. So if you're going to screw over someone, you put it in legalese so that it's a pain in the ass for them or anyone associated with them to see that you are screwing them. The Globe and Mail, citing unnamed sources, said that the U.S. and Canada also remain far apart on U.S. demands for Buy American procurement rules and on an opening up access to Canada's dairy and poultry sectors. Oh yeah, let's talk about that. The dairy and poultry sectors. Okay, even with NAFTA, Canada wants to play rough and say, oh, well, we want to be protectionist with our dairy and our poultry sectors. But you can't be you can't be with yours, United States. And this is seriously ridiculous. They want free trade that benefits them, but screw anything that benefits the United States. Because they have basically blocked U.S. dairy and poultry farmers from selling their products in Canada. And yet, we're trying to fuck Canada? Because we want to make it so that we have fair trade? Not free trade? To me, fair trade is better than free trade. And this is coming from a libertarian, because the Founding Fathers understood that tariffs were not only about protecting an industry, they were about generating revenue. Okay? And they can have people buying American, okay? With the fact of the tariff adding extra. But all the governments and countries that are getting upset about Trump and his trade policies, like in the EU, they have tariffs against pretty much almost all U.S. products. Okay, vehicles, why do you think European cars, when they're way more expensive, even with shipping them across the ocean, they're still way more expensive for you to ship U.S. cars? Why do you think, European cars are dominant, like, say, the German automakers? Oh, well, because Germany has a tariff, against importing U.S. cars. Pretty much all of Europe have tariffs on U.S. cars. Yet, we're the bad guys. I mean, with NAFTA, it's the same type of mentality. We're the bad guys because we don't like getting fucked. Huh. That's pretty funny. We're bad guys because we don't want to bend over and take it without any Vaseline. Okay, sure, whatever. I mean, that's how this dairy and poultry situation is. Canada's bending us over, our poultry and dairy farmers over, screwing them without any Vaseline. And yet, they got no problem with it. But if we stand up for ourselves, oh, we're being unfair. Well, screw you, Canada. Mexico, meanwhile, is reportedly holding out against a U.S. demand that will require automakers to source auto parts from factories that pay workers at least $15 per hour, in line with U.S. and Canadian wages, versus Mexico's current average wage of $3 per hour. Oh, God. If that were to happen, now, I'm not one for mandating wages. But in this case, with Mexico, I'm for this, and there's a couple reasons why. One, if they're going to pay a Mexican, an unskilled Mexican, $15 an hour, or they can pay a skilled, who's more likely, to, because they didn't get, say, the actual, like, say, apprenticeship or formal training. They're just thrown on a line and go, okay, yeah, throw that piece of sheet metal into to the press over there and stamp a fender. The tolerances are not going to be the same as, say, an American company. And this is nothing against Mexico. It's a fact of the quality of labor, what they're paying their labor. Okay, if you put a $15 an hour requirement on auto parts for the hourly wage, say with body panels, it's not worth it for them to do it in Mexico. So shit comes back to the United States. I got no problem with that. I'm for that. Okay, if you say, oh, they got to pay them $15 in Mexico, they're not going to do it. Because the whole idea of paying someone $3 an hour in Mexico is so that they can maximize profits. It's not about profitability and being profitable, okay, period. It's about maximizing profits. It used to be, okay, well, we'll pay our workers this much and our profits will be this much. Well, now it's to the point of where let's pay our workers shit and increase our profit margin even more. And it was like that before, but with the whole baby boomer thing, post-World War II, there was at least this understanding in the corporate world, in the manufacturing world, that your employees are what make your company possible. And they should be, make it possible. Make its ability to produce goods possible. And they should be paid accordingly. I mean, this kind of comes out about the fact of Henry Ford and how he paid his employees, okay? I mean, it starts prior to the baby boomers in World War II with, that in the auto industry, because the auto industry was the first place where paying someone well became the standard. And it just progressed from there, especially post-World War II with the baby boomers and other manufacturing, whether it was, making refrigerators, washing machines, military equipment like fighter jets, commercial jets, whatever. Pay your employees well. Now it's about, let's see how much we can skim from them and how much we can maximize our profits. And when you're paying a Mexican $3 an hour to stamp fenders, instead of paying an American $15 an hour to do it, you're maximizing your profits. And to me, this would force manufacturers to reevaluate doing business in Mexico. And you know what? Yeah, it might hurt Mexico, but I don't care. I only care about the United States. I care about Americans right now. Our country is in deep shit. It's time to straighten that out. The auto parts sector is concerned that higher wages will increase costs throughout the supply chain, leading to higher prices for vehicles or a shift in work to lower wage jurisdiction out of North America. Companies would then have to pay a 2.5% tariff to import vehicles into the United States under WTO rules. Who the fuck is the World Trade Organization to dictate what tariffs we have? Oh yeah, we can charge 2.5% on an imported vehicle, but other countries 10, 12, 15%, China way more than that. We need to tell the UN and the WTO and all of them to get the fuck out of our economy. Seriously. We need to tell Mexico piss off with the NAFTA. We need to tell Canada the same thing. Okay, and this whole thing of shifting outside of North America, I don't think that would fly too well, especially with, American buyers. They would probably say, screw you, and they'd probably buy Korean. Or they'd probably, buy, like, say, Japanese on the note of Nissan or Toyota, where they're manufactured in the United States. In a speech Wednesday in Toronto, U.S. Ambassador to Canada Kelly Craft listed other trade irritants, including a lack of U.S. access to Canada's telecommunications sector and a generic drug market, and its relatively low threshold for duty-free consumer goods. Well, the thing is, if Canada has stakes in our telecommunications sector, we should have stake in. We should be allowed to have access to theirs. Otherwise, we should shut out Canada. We should actually shut out any foreign nation from having any involvement in our telecommunications industry, because it's part of national infrastructure. It's critical for national defense, and it should all be done by American companies. And there should be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The generic drug market. See, what pisses off the United States about Canada's generic drug market is they really don't have access to it, but American citizens do. And you're allowed to bring back a 90-day supply back of drugs. So people go up to Canada, get their drugs cheap, especially these days. It's been a lot of elderly people who go up there and get their drugs cheap. And the drug companies are getting screwed out of money. The U.S. government, they're not getting their cut, and they're pissed about it. Understandable. Why not just get the drug companies to, offer the same type of generic drugs that Canada is offering at those prices? I mean, it's the same, they're same drugs. I mean, if odds are a lot of those companies in Canada producing the generic drugs are owned by, multinational conglomerates or American-based pharmaceutical companies, or the German one there, or somehow, they've still got their fingers in the pies of the Canadian drug companies. They just want more direct access. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they should be focusing on reducing the value of their costs here in the U.S. for American consumers before worrying about trying to get into the cheap Canada drug market. Because if you can sell it cheap in Canada, you can sell it cheap in the U.S. I mean, if we actually went by supply and demand, drug prices would be cheaper. I mean, they'd still be gouging, but not nearly as bad, especially with generic offerings. I mean, and this is just a minor part of NAFTA, so I don't even know why they're bringing it up at this point. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to bring it in at the end and go, oh, by the way. But, yeah, I mean, the funny thing is here you have Trudeau, all right, trying to come across as strong in the whole negotiating position here for Canada. And he and Canada are not strong in this. Yahoo and AFP are trying to make it look like he's strong in this situation. Trying to make it look like Mexico's strong in this situation. I really don't understand why people have so much issue with the United States getting a fair deal or coming out on top anymore. I mean, what's wrong with the United States getting a fair deal? What's wrong with the United States occasionally coming out on top? It's like, United States, you're automatically bad. Fuck you. You should be getting screwed. You should be getting porked. Your people should be getting their wealth taken from them, along with your nation's wealth. It's ridiculous, and it needs to stop. And now that we have someone in office who's trying to put a stop to it, they don't know how to react. They're literally trying to make someone, like I said, who's from a weak bargaining position look strong here. They're trying to fluff him up. I mean, well, it looks like he's standing behind a podium. I'm wondering right now if he's being fluffed like in the original Police Academy movie. And not by a woman. Anyway, yeah. I think I've covered this well enough. I'm just going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.